Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here. We just debuted an excellent new feature that we just tried out. We are streaming now through Riverside. You might not think that's cool, but we think it's very cool. And
We're
if you listen on the podcast and you're like, wait, you have a live show? Yes, we do. Twitch.tv/RFK Refugees. We're now on Twitter, Facebook. We are everywhere.
Twitter and Twitch tonight, I believe, and then going forward, we're going to be on LinkedIn, folks. You can follow the show on. I have made an RFK Refugees profile. I don't know why. I just did it one time, but that's an option for you now.
Yes, yeah, we look nice. I'm looking us on the Twitch screen. We look really nice, but definitely join our live shows. We know we get most of y'all listen to the podcast. That's perfectly fine, but the live shows are still a lot of fun. John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend? I hope it was good. You went and watched the soccer.
I saw it in person, and I think I made a big deal about the fact that I would not be tweeting from it, so that's good.
Yeah, I had to watch. Apologies for the late post game show. I was out doing other things other than watching soccer with my life, and so I had to come back and watch it in the morning. But I got an interesting perspective. I think my perspective might vary between some of the people who maybe watched it live.
From the people who watched the first 45 minutes and wanted to cry, for instance, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get right into it.
I would say this is going to be a short show, and it probably will because no Spirit, just USWNT to talk about. But
yes.
Before we get started, make sure if you want to support the show, options always are patreon.com/RFK Refugees. You get usually a weekly episode. Sometimes you don't. You always get early access to Ted's writing whenever it comes out. Also, you can just support the show and be cool. We really appreciate that. You can also subscribe to us on Twitch, which is generally free if you have Amazon Prime, and if not, it's very affordable. Helps us keep the trains running on time. So just consider that.
Stay tuned. I will have some. I'm planning some content that's going to come out. We obviously have some players we'll talk about, some moves that became official, some other things, and I'm gonna build some content. We got a week break before, and I will be in Charlotte. By the way, I will be in there. So if you're heading down there to watch DC, or if you're a Charlotte fan listening to the show, want to say hi, absolutely, come on down.
I'll be there for the Houston game. So
yes.
If you want to come say hi, and also if you want to meet me at the team store so I can use your season ticket holder discount, please do that.
Didn't happen.
No, it didn't. I got a DM, and then he ghosted me, and it's just not okay. It's just really not okay. I feel like as our bond we have here as podcast host, podcast listener means, anyway, it's all right. It's fine. I mean, it's only $1,000 for an authentic jersey anyway, so it's not like it's a good discount. Right? Yeah,
the discount. You get $10 in a Fanatics coupon. I'm pretty sure.
I've gotten that. I was a season ticket holder that year. I remember the Fanatics gift card. Funny.
All right. Let's get right into it. Let's talk DC. Let's talk last week's 2-2 draw, which I think at the beginning of the game might have been viewed a little bit as a disappointment, or maybe not, depending on how we got there. But I think basically now I think you can pretty much say, despite the fact that the team probably needs a win, it's nice. You always got to go in. You want to win your home games. I think it's the way they sort of fought back in this game was good. I did not start well from them. We'll get into what went wrong probably first in this game, but I don't know, John. How are you feeling about this draw? The vibes seem a little bit positive.
I think that's for certain. We'll talk about it as it goes, but we looked at this. The fact that they were very, very shorthanded. We looked at the fact that they were coming off a short rest and off of a really disappointing loss on the road. All signs pointed to a blowout against Toronto at home, and it certainly started off that way. And I think that we talk about what the vibes were like. The vibes in the first 5 minutes were very bad.
Yeah,
very, very bad. But I think it's all about what they were able to salvage out of this and the change from halftime. I always love when you see dramatic differences from half to half. It tells you a lot about the coaches, the players. It tells you a lot about, a lot of things. And it was good to see that was the case, because in the first half, they looked really, really bad. And they didn't look like they looked like the effort wasn't there. Toronto was way, way more motivated all throughout the, winning every first and second ball. It was just bananas for a while.
I'll get into a little bit of what I thought of that first half. I'm not sure I necessarily agree completely with that assessment that it was, that Toronto was sort of overrunning. I think they hit us on two key moments on the left
Not
side.
on the goals. Literally everything happening in the midfield was. I'm going to bring the stats up while we talk about it, but they were. It was dramatic. Anyway, the if you look at the lineup too, there were not a lot of options. If you look at the on-use substitutes, it was Tyler Miller. So therefore, the shorthanded bench was was fully dumped. But Garrison Tubbs had to start. Everything else was probably pretty much what you'd expect, but Garrison Tubbs was forced in, and Pedro Santos getting his first start in probably quite a while. I had talked about Tyler Miller maybe starting for Alex Bono. It didn't appear to make a difference, and it still didn't make a difference either way. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, that was they put the lineup they could put out there. They did what they wanted to do there.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing for me from this lineup was giving Garrison Tubbs a chance. I think that was a good thing to see. If we're going to be shorthanded, if we're going to be so thin, if we're going to be deliberate with that, we're going to play players that we want to see more of. And I think Garrison Tubbs is a guy we didn't really get a lot of tape on it. I think he had the unfortunate duty of playing that left-sided center back and having to match up with Bernadeschi. Along with Pedro Santos, who I think as the year has kind of gone on, it's becoming evident. Like at first he's like, wow, he really looks good, kind of in these first few games. I think he was leading like expected threat. He might still be. But I think maybe there were some defensive liabilities, but he was able to cut back. This game really exposed, I think, that he is this team, David Schnegg, if he is the signing, which for all indications are he is, really can't come soon enough because that left side was the weak point that Toronto hit over and over in that first half.
He looked like Usain Bolt in the first half with the with the hair of Usain Bolt. Bernadeschi that was a horrible. That's not his normal hair, is it? Does he always wear that?
I think this has been a new hairdo.
It should end. Hopefully the red card convinces him that he can't pull it off. But he was absolutely torching that side of the field. It was gnarly. Goal aside,
the first goal too, and I'll give a little bit. The first goal was just I watched it back. I obviously watched it. I watched it live. I was watching on my phone, and I said, "Wow, that's pretty bad defensive breakdown." I watched it again. There's like about 4, 5, 6, 7 like DC United players, and I don't think any of them get a touch to the ball. Like they were literally in there. It was the first minute of the game. They were literally in their defensive shell, and they just kind of let Bernadeschi just kind of waltz into the box, plays across in. No one picks up Derek Etienne Jr. I almost want to maybe ring out. I feel like it's like the second time there's a cross come in, and like Herrera's maybe a little bit slow to step to it, but just that's kind of like for me, that's like secondary to like just how much like Toronto just like literally broke this team down. Like they just literally were not ready to play. I don't know if that's what that means. I mean, is this a team that is just tired, exhausted, needs a break? Click posting on Instagram. He's in the Bahamas. I think a lot of those players deserve maybe a break or a rest right now. So yeah, I mean, that was just bad. It was bad. It was a bad way to start the game. I thought through maybe there was one other chance that I think there was a block in the box by Bartlett. I remember that. And I think that again came down that right side. I should say, I keep saying left side, the right side of Toronto. Left side is where the defensive aspect was. But I mean, Toronto hit that. Bernadeschi was on fire in that second half. Second goal comes in. I'll read your stats because I came away and I said, the team is still possessing. They were still generating chances. Ted Pietro, I thought made a nice run that, and then set himself up for a shot where, I think he hits it low and hard, and at that angle maybe not the best, but he still like creates some chances. I thought there were some opportunities there in the first half for DC.
Toronto won 55% of the duels, 58% of the ground duels. I was only talking about the defensive opportunities. I wasn't talking about anything that the DC and I were doing. I was just, literally, if there was a ball in the air, they were losing it. If there was a physical encounter on the ground, Toronto was going to win it, at least in the middle of the field. It was just kind of disappointing from that perspective. I think also another thing to point out from the first half, I saw it happen, and I was curious. I think I saw Steve Birnbaum's knee injury happen. He came off at halftime, but I saw him. He was sort of he was sort of caught in between on a clearance, and then I saw him fall down and then struggle to get back up. and then sort of like I saw his leg bend a little bit and then get back up. So if he is out for an extended period of time, I saw what it was, and it didn't look super good from where I was sitting. I think Matai's loan to Loudon is going to be nuked, unfortunately, for Loudon. I think we're going to need him now.
But maybe we'll get into the second half a little bit. I want to maybe finish any thoughts we have on the first half. But he came on in the second half, and I thought he had some moments. And I think Ryan Kiefer over at District Press wrote an article sort of about his couple performances and seems to think that, he's showing real progress and maybe stepping up. So maybe we will start to see that transition start to happen with McVay out. I think there's an opportunity for him there.
I think Benteke did not have a very good game. I think in the first half he was pretty invisible.
He had one play, I think, off a corner kick where he won it, and just if the defender's not near, that's probably on goal. And then of course he had his breakaway
opportunity,
his chip opportunity.
But as far I think that they were keyed in on him defensively wisely. Anytime the ball was pushed out wide, Toronto would try to crowd him, and it would result in them trying to find somebody else, and nobody else is good in the air really for DC United, or at least not the best in the world like Benteke is. So Benteke got clattered pretty bad by Gomes. I think he got a yellow card on that, and then that later on it would prove to be the consequential yellow card. But I think he just wasn't. I think this just wasn't his game apparently too. So he left injured, and it was said that he was dealing with a leg injury or a lower body slight muscle injury coming into the game. So they're not concerned about it. They think it's just kind of minor. I think the fact that we've got a break here is needed in clutch because, I don't care how well we did in the second half. Like we cannot have him out at all. So rest up, go to the Bahamas, wherever you got to go.
Yeah. Team, I think this is a case where the team can't find him. He had that one opportunity off a corner kick. And then of course, the breakaway opportunity. I think he got a little bit, people said maybe you don't chip there. Maybe he tries to round the keeper. I don't know. I think maybe he does what he thinks is best in that moment. It's a tough moment to do to get right there.
I wouldn't second guess that really. I think that's I think that's just as likely to go in as
he's got a defender in his side too that's catching up with him. So it's unfortunate that he really doesn't get a good opportunity. But I think it's positive that the chances this team got came really from without him. And let's get into the second half. So down 2-0. The second goal is, I think Garrison Tubbs, I'm going to give him a little bit of reprieve because he's new. This is his first real professional start. Gets kind of like caught up a little bit. He kind of presses up sort of in the middle of the field. Maybe not realizing that, maybe him and Pedro Santos just haven't quite worked it out, that Pedro Santos is also up the field, and that just opens up, acres of space for Bernardeschi, and you can't do that. I thought it was interesting. They flipped in the second half. I feel like they flipped Tubbs. They put Akambone out there on the left side, and they flipped Tubbs, probably because, they want to just put some fresher legs out. And I think it's notable, again, weird sort of half, but for that 30-40 minutes, really Bernardeschi didn't get much in that second half. So
he got frustrated for sure too. So let's talk about Matai. I think it's important. So he comes in for an injured Seaburnbaum. The thing I saw from him that I was not impressed with, I think he kept trying to force long diagonal balls to runners on the right hand side. I don't think he completed many of them. I'll bring up the stats here as you talk, but that was not where he's shown. I think physically, defensively, he did very well. He did well with positioning. He did well with recovery. He has good speed. I think it was certainly not a drop off from Steve in the first half. So I think it's really, to your point before, the fact that if his loan gets terminated, I think he's going to get a lot more minutes in the rotation. I think maybe he's earned some confidence from the coach. What did you see from him?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw, again, I felt like finally they had a defender that was willing to kind of push up a little bit. And they were behind, so they were trying to press the game. But I feel like for, the past couple games, that really wasn't there, or it was there from like McVay, and then it was gone in the second half against Chicago, and then it was really gone the entire game, where I felt like nobody was really being the guy that could kind of push the ball, win the ball in those sort of midfield areas, even as a defender, trust that you've got coverage behind you. And I feel like also, what they kind of did was, Tubbs and Bartlett kind of sat back kind of as the two holding center backs and really gave Akambone some free reign push forward to win those balls. So I think overall that was a positive, and I think that's why the game in the second half started to tilt back to DC United, even before the red cards. They pick up the goal, before Bernadeschi's second yellow and before the PK. So Clad 95 says, objectively, I thought we played better defensively once Birnbaum left the field. That might be true. I think I think it's tough with Steve. I think they want to see him out there. We'll see what happens. I mean, this knee injury, if he picks it up and he's out for the rest of the year, I don't know. Do you maybe look at it and say, I think only the person who's going to know that is going to be Steve. He's talked about how he wants to play. He doesn't want this to end, but you pick up another injury to that knee, you're out long term. And, he talked about how long it took him to come back. I don't know. Maybe this is the last we've seen of Steve. I really don't know.
I hope
it's difficult to speculate. I know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I hope it's not. I think that,
I hope it's not too. Absolutely.
Also, by the way, I was right. Matai over 3 on long passes. So I did not imagine that he was not connecting. I also want to talk about Martin Rodriguez, whose stats do not bear out my impression of how he's playing, by the way. We were talking before the show, like, I think he did it pretty well. His stats are very bad. He didn't really do much of anything statistically. So maybe I should. Yeah,
there were some people that were talking about that, and I was like, he looks active. I think there was a lot of. I think you look at some of the things that Pirani doesn't do. I think he goes out and does, and I feel like maybe we're feeling a little bit better about that because, at least he's trying to go out and do those things. This game, in my opinion, really started to flip once DC established the press. Akinboni's there, so that allows Click to be able to push forward a little bit more and to get more active. And again, the PK comes from his service, and a lot of some other opportunities also came from his sort of service from that sort of 8 position that he occupies. A lot of people still talk about how they want him on a TAM deal, they want him on a lower salary. I mean, maybe he's willing to take it. Matthias Click.
Oh yeah, I thought we were talking about Rodriguez. I was like, no,
yeah. I mean, I think we want. I think people want Click back. I still think he deserves the designated player spot. I mean, just go again. Point back to his FB ref stats and the amount of shot creating actions he does, the amount of expected assists he does, the amount of offensive contributions he makes that are at a level that we see out of guys like Ricky Puig and stuff like that. He doesn't beat guys on the dribble like Ricky Puig because he's 33, 34. He's not spry, but just still his ability to sort of make those connecting passes. I think he is being asked because he is being asked to play with Jackson Hopkins. Who, again, I see things out of Jackson that are that's good, but then overall, his impact on the game, it needs to be more.
And I think if he had a more experienced partner, I bet Click would be even more. He would shine even more. By the way, Rodriguez's 30 minutes in this game are the most of the entire season that he's played. He's played 132 minutes, and it is his highest foot mob score. But again. I think it's just good that you have. It makes sense if you have this guy and you're paying this guy that he can do something. And I certainly, my complaint at the beginning was he does more than Pirani does, and I would use him in place of him in those moments. I would say trusted hand, give it to Rodriguez, see how it goes. He's not gonna. I think the other changes that occurred. Let's talk about the goal. Let's talk about Ted's goal.
Which again,
by the way, only second goal of the season. By the way, I didn't
second
realize
goal of the season. Click also has a second goal of the year off the penalty kick. So we have 2 players now that are on 2 goals. So we got double nothing. Easy finish. I really thought the dribbling, the confidence, and the beating guys on the dribble. I feel like when you watch him play, if you just focus on those moments, people say, "Well, he's not having a good game," but he is starting to. I think his off the ball stuff, finding space. Finding moments, finding the runs. There was a moment where he almost kind of created a goal kind of out of nothing where he makes sort of the run to the near post. He kind of lays it off, I think, for Benteke, and they aren't able to kind of, get it on frame. But that's a moment. Of course, he has the run in the first half. And just a couple other moments I saw where you're starting to see that a little bit of that ability come back. And I think he gets rewarded with a goal. It's a long, hard shot by Stroud, who I didn't really talk about in my piece, but I thought he had a pretty good performance.
Created 4 chances, most of the team.
Mm-hmm. The long ball, the long pass to Benteke was just perfect on a dime, right to him. But, I think Ted getting the goal was big. I'm hopeful that, he can go get some rest. I'm not sure. Maybe he's not 100% healed from his injury.
Stats weren't great here if you look at his overall stats. But to your point, goal putting in the back of the net was the most important thing for him. So to your point, he is still battling a host of lower body injuries, I believe. So send him to the Bahamas with Click. Let's put him on the beach for a little bit. But it's important for this team to do anything going forward. They've got to ignite that confidence and keep him on the field. So it was good to see.
I think it's coming. I think there have been more and more moments where the pass is maybe not quite there yet, and I feel like Troy's talked about that a lot. Where he's like, look, he's doing a lot of the right things, and I see some of those right things. He makes sort of the last pass. It gets broken up. Maybe he needs to put it a little bit more. He has an excellent opportunity against Montreal. I think that's 2023. He buries it. So it's getting there for him, and I think it's maybe a little bit slower than what we want or what we hope, but I think it's getting there. I'm projecting if we're doing like a midseason like predictions, I think he will have a monster of a second half of the season. I think it's coming for him. So
I was sitting there trying to decide if someone did meet me to help me buy the jersey at a discount, who I'd get on the back, and I want you to guess who my 2 choices are. 3 choices:
Benteke or Ted Pietro or Click.
It was Ted and it was Herrera were my 2.
Oh, Herrera, yeah, that'd be a good one.
Those are my 2, and I'm trying to think of a person that I cannot jinx too much. Ted, I can jinx. Ted has had enough injury problems that I could probably jinx. Herrera seems pretty much like established. I think my last jersey was Nahar, so I have a right to be concerned. I have to. If you're watching and you're listening, let me know who you think I should get, and let me know who you think I should not get. I can show you a closet full of jerseys of regret. So maybe that will flavor your. I have a Areola 13, which is great because he changed that right after I got that.
I have an Areola. I have an Areola jersey. Areola jersey. I've got 7, Click. Right? Yeah, 7. Yep, I got Click.
So you. I have the collector's item by accident.
There you go.
Let's see what else. What else should we talk about here? I guess from the
PK.
Second half,
Tubbs does win the PK, so. Props to him for winning it, for going up for it and getting dragged down by a Toronto player. And then there's the third goal that was ruled offside. A lot of people in the stadium seem confused as to who was called offside. If you go back and look at the video, Bartlett is up the field, I guess, from a set piece, is about half a step offside when the ball is played. Comes back to him, he lays it off for, I think, Pirani, who then is onside. So if he's half a step, we have a goal and we have a 3-2 victory, and we are like in dreamland as far as that goes. So yeah, unfortunate that they couldn't pull it out. Again, you maybe want to if they take advantage against 9 men, but again, it comes so late. I think it's just important. It was important just to kind of swing some momentum sort of back in our favor. I think was, not to leave this, obviously from a, 2 home games and a road match, you leave with 2 points. Overall, still a disappointment. You want to win. You would want to win at least one of those, and and probably 2 of them, considering where you are. But again, I think this team is just. There's not a lot of. I think they're tired. I think they were exhausted. I think the energy levels. I'm hopeful. 2-week break, they come back. The energy levels kind of return, and help is presumably on the way at this point. They are shedding roster space.
Speaking of. Finally today, the Jazz news came. The buyout, the one in-season buyout has been authored. If you look at the post, typically there's a little bit of like, thank you for your service for the club. It is the shortest. It is the shortest of these possible. It says they have announced.
They almost like backhand him he played 300 and some minutes.
He played 366 minutes with 1 assist. I think I'm fine with it. I'm fine with a little bit of underhanded sassness. So he's gone. Goodbye. Looking forward to his replacement getting here as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. It will be funny to see where he goes. I bet he latches back on back home and plays immediately. But that's how it goes sometimes. It wasn't a matter of him not being fit. It just theoretically he wasn't a fit for play style, I guess. I just don't understand that part. I think it's got to be something about something else.
I think
like
it is
mindset, attitude.
I think there's some of DK and DC says, I get that Jazz didn't fit Detroit plans, but we've only got 14 outfield players. You need anyone with a warm body. Golf said there wasn't any drama here, but I just don't understand how that can be.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't. I think maybe I think it was possibly an attitude thing, and I think Troy. I think also it could have been I wonder. You talk about like when moves come about and when players come about, and when we talk about it seems like things just kind of appear. I am willing to bet that Mackay had David Schnegg on his radar for a while. Like he was a player that he was looking at. He had him on his radar. And I'm willing to bet like talks began with the team well before then. And they entered this and he might have told, said, look, we're bringing this guy in. We think he's better than Yaz. So I think we need to, let's see what we get. If we like him, maybe we can move on from Pedro. And I think he said, look, I'm his attitude, something's not there that I don't like. And let's go ahead and bring in, let's get Schnegg in here and let's just kind of deal with it for a little bit. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. I will never believe that there was nothing wrong there and it was just a matter of fit. He's a left back. He's an attacking left back. That was the whole point, is that he was going to run up and down the sides with speed and provide service. There's nothing about this current incarnation of DC United that would not have allowed that. That if we had a left back, he would be doing that. He would be doing what Herrera does on the left side. So, okay, whatever. It's over now. We'll never know. DC United has gotten very, very good at not airing out their dirty laundry, particularly on players that don't fit. We still don't know what happened with Ravel Morrison. We never will. Maybe in like 15 years we'll get like a behind the scenes. I have to feel like that whole there's going to be like a story on Wayne Rooney's time in DC as the coach.
Pablo, write this book. I will pre-order right now.
There's got to be some considering everything going on with the team, considering what we've seen now, considering the players that were brought in that were kind of just like I can't think of anything else other than So
DC United does get this time off. They get 12 days until their next match.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is that once those 12 days pass, they have 3 games in 7 days. So that's I guess it's good, right? Rest now. But then they've got Charlotte, and then they have Atlanta, and then they have Houston. The Charlotte game is interesting because Charlotte just beat Atlanta so bad that they fired their coach. So I was hoping it would be DC. I was hoping he was going to make it to the 19th, and then we could beat Atlanta again, this time at home, and then he could be fired. But they didn't make it. He took 2 weeks too long.
I will tell you, the issues in Atlanta go deeper than just the coach. This is a situation where you have Almeida, who wants out, and now you have, I think,
Giacomakis wants to go to Cruz Azul.
Giacomakis wants to go to Cruz Azul. So I think this is a team. It's really kind of fascinating how quickly things change, and once a player gets their head turned, it's like we've seen it happen. We saw it happen with Lucho here in 2019, and just the kind of everything just kind of drops, and I feel like that's what they're dealing with. I don't think it's a reflection on Gonzalo Pineda as a coach. I think there's a lot of outside stuff going on right now in Atlanta that unfortunately it is what it is with them, and fortunately for us, I guess. So I do not. I mean, I think there might be a little bit of a bounce. I think the bounce will kind of wane, and I think they're going to end up. They are going to have to either have an upset striker, who, by the way, did not go meet with the media, left without meeting with the media. There was chicken and rice that was served at the press box, which if you're unfamiliar with Atlanta lore, was where Joseph Martinez flipped a table of chicken and rice. So just bad mojo with chicken and rice.
Yeah, change it up. Don't do that again, guys. That's funny.
So SC Clyde, get Peltola, don't get Benteke. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Anyway,
so I also want to comment on the second half performance of the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel last night? Fantastic job. There was I don't know what happened, but there were the entire stadium was doing something with their phones, with like the cameras, the flashlight on their phones. It was very cool. Never seen it before. I've not been in a while, so maybe I'm missing out. Maybe that's like a new thing we do. I just missed it. But there were chants coming out from everywhere. Once again, had like moments in that last 15 minutes. You could hear it. It sounded louder than it's been all year. So that was very cool. I think that this is. I haven't been. It was my first game of the season, so I've been away for a while. But it was promising for when this team. I'm sure that was helpful for the comeback to have the Chico stand going crazy like they were.
Yeah. I want to go ahead. So we're pretty much at the midway point for DC. We're at 17 games, 17 of 34. We're halfway point. DC's currently in 10th. They are 1.12 points per game, 4 wins, 6 losses, 7 draws, 25 goals for, 31 against, -6 goal differential. I want to get your give me a grade. What's your overall grade?
C+.
C+. I'm going to go B. Give me justification for C+.
Sure. I think that the opportunities that were in place that would not have required a better roster, that would have just required better discipline and sort of better tactical, discipline in late in games to try to see out victories, either in coaching or on the players in the field, I think tells me that they've underperformed where they could have been, even if our expectations were altered by how they performed in the first couple games. So I think that because of they're underperforming a little bit, even with the roster they do have. That's why I would give them a C+.
See, I feel like we've been diluted a little bit by how well they've looked, I guess, in this first half. And I feel like the fact that they have not been able to hold on to leads, I think, is explained by the fact of, how shorthanded they've been all year, the lack of real difference makers off the bench. You look at guys like Christian Fletcher, who could be those spark plugs off the bench. You look at a guy like, even Pirani being a spark plug off the bench. It hasn't happened. And I feel like that's contributed to some of what we've seen. And I think lately their struggles have just been related to them just not being tired enough. So I look at where expectations were with this team, where we knew that depth was going to be a concern. We knew there was going to be a lack of talent. And the fact that they are still, what is it? What are they right now? Sorry, I was looking at the points. They are essentially tied for that 9th playoff spot. They are basically behind just on Nashville on goal differential, who have not looked good, who just got rid of their coach. Where expectations were with this team, it gets me excited that enough things have gone well where they've, look at guys like Stroud that have come in that have been difference makers. Now this is the year where, what can we do now? We've got some more cap space. Do we, use that to basically move? Can we move? I don't know if we can move Patola off that U22 slot and get a DP, or what the nature is. What U22s are they going to look at? So I feel like there's a lot of room to grow. This team has beat my expectations. The way they've kind of bought into the system, it changed really what I thought this team could be really next year. And I kind of thought this was going to be just see out the year, and then we'll get 2 DP slots with Click and Benteke gone. But Benteke's looking really good. I think Click's really good. Could I be convinced to go grab another player? Sure. But if Mackay does that, you better be darn sure. You cannot miss on that. And I think there's been, to me, it's been above expectations. I get excited to watch this team, even through this losing streak. I'm like, they have a tendency to put things together. And look what happened. Look what happened against Toronto. It looked like they were dead and buried, and they fought back. And I think that's been the most important thing. The most important positive thing I've seen from this team is just an ability to kind of to stay in games and to fight back. So I'm going B. I think it's been good. I'm excited for the future. And I think that's what I wanted out of this year, was just to be excited about this team sort of moving forward and get the joy back, because it faded away very quickly in 2023.
I'm checking results here, and I'm pretty sure this was the first time since Portland that they battled back from a deficit to get points.
Yeah.
They lost the 3 points. I'm going down the line here. They had a lead in St. Louis. They lost it. They had a lead in Columbus. They lost it. They had a lead in DC or against Orlando.
Seattle,
they lost it.
Seattle
They did that then? Okay.
Yeah, they were down 1-0 and came back and won 2-1.
And those were both those are all in the first half. Not that that makes a difference. I'm just noting so 3 times this season they've turned it around, and many more times have they flipped the script and done the other thing. So yeah, I think your grade is fair. I think my grade is fair. I think I don't know what this next month is going to tell you. I'd be really curious in July after the window's open. Mackay needs another one of those like supporters open forum things where he can be like, where he can give a little bit of a thought of the philosophy of the rest of the year. Obviously, he's not going to say we do not want to put ourselves in a position where we can't shoot for the top half of the table in 2025 with any roster decisions we make this year, and that maybe we're just going to short-term bodies so that we're not 14 manning it again. But and then in 2025 is when we allocate serious budget dollars and we have a lot of money coming off the cap, et cetera, et cetera. I think both ways are very reasonable to play it that way. I think it is undeniable that we will not have 14 players again.
Yeah.
That will hopefully. I have a feeling that that's making everyone crazy there, not just us. I think probably them as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure they know it. And I'm sure I would hope that, the team would be abreast that, hey, help us on the way. I think what I want to look for out of this July is I want to see competition. I want to see him look at guys. I think going for the left side is an absolute need. I think it also, turns a guy like, if Schnegg turns out if he is the signing, which again, not holding the shirt up yet, but he is presumably the signing, him going out left as a starter, then maybe either pushes a guy like Dahomey to the bench. Dahomey as a change of place guy off the bench. Yeah, I actually like that. I think he can bring something off of the bench and kind of give you that sort of speed and change of pace, and really be a guy that can maybe when you're pushing a game can come in and push for a goal. So
and you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get anything from him from a trade or anything else. So might as well.
Yeah,
that is the best way for him to be valuable is for him not to be depended on.
Yeah.
So to your point.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see more guys in there. And obviously not where we have injuries. Like, I look at, Connor Antley's injured. He was a guy that would press Herrera. Like, he would press Herrera. He would come in for Herrera, fill in for different roles. Unfortunately, he's not there. But I want to see, a guy out there that's challenging Tiku DiPietro, that's challenging Jared Stroud, that's out there challenging, even Mateus Click, or possibly, Petola or Jackson Hopkins a little bit. And I think that pressure will hopefully yield some results where, hey, we move on, guy goes off the bench, and then they have to push to make the bench again and sort of give some competition. I think that's maybe contributed to the lull a little bit, has been just kind of a lack of, like, we've played the same 11, basically unless a player's injured for the longest time at this point. So
if they sign another defensive midfielder, Jackson Hopkins is probably cooked.
Yeah.
If he's playing because he's what there is, and he's done well, and obviously the coach has been really. I think it's interesting to listen to Troy talk about him. Is they keep wanting him to compliment him and say how great he is. Like, that seems to be the angle every time, because it's interesting and it's novel that he's playing so many minutes at a new position at a young age. But he also, similar to Wayne Rooney last year, would be like, yes, but like, certainly knows he has a lot to change. He has made big strides or whatever. But I think that if you put him against a seasoned MLS defensive midfielder, but he would be on the bench then, and that would be fine. Like, I think he's grown a lot. We've seen what is likely to be his future position here. He's not going to be a winger or a forward, I think, anymore for DC United. I think that's done. So if he wants to stick here, he's got to figure out how to contribute from that spot. And I think he's getting, a good look, and that's great for this team's future to have that. Because if they don't go, if Click is not brought back for whatever reason, they're obviously going to make moves there. But Jackson Hopkins probably will be a part of the future in that part of the field. So it's good either way.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And I think there's a lot of room for this to grow, and that's what really gets me excited. Hopefully the field too. By the way, I think this is hopefully the field looked. By the way, the field looked good. It looked good. So it's not as I give credit to the grounds crew. They've had a lot to deal with. The defenders are now done. Their season is over. So now presumably there'll be a replacement pitch. I believe Stephen Goff's talked about a hybrid pitch being installed. I hope we see that. If we see that happen, I think that'll be a good thing.
Help me out here. What is a hybrid pitch?
So it is basically if you go Google it, you'll find some videos. It's basically like it's artificial threads that are kind of placed at specific points in the field,
like the high wear spots.
Yeah. Well, it's placed, I think, on a grid pattern. But what the idea is that when you put the grass on it, the grass can then fuse to the hybrid, like to the artificial strands, and make the pitch stronger. So if you look at all your top level like soccer pitches, Wembley, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they all have hybrid pitches out there. That's what they do. So
cool.
It is supposed to be a more durable type of field where you're not just having to keep relaying sod. It can recover, and the grass can hold up a little bit better. So hopefully that happens. I'm excited. If that does happen with this go around, I'll be very excited. That might be something that might not happen till the off season.
It'll happen when they bring the cranes in to finish the roof or whatever the memes are.
Isn't the roof's finished, man?
I didn't even look up. Must have been.
It's done, man. I've been there. It's done. It's finished.
Well,
so
that's great. I'm sure people are happy that are in those front rows that were previously getting wet. We got we don't really have Spirit to talk about. We have a US and WNT game that I don't really have much to say about, other than the fact that Sam Staub got a cap, and that's really cool. And Casey Kruger played 45 minutes, and Trinity Rodman played about 60 minutes.
Yeah.
No Hal Hirschfeld debut, which is the thing I actually was most excited to see her play. I hope that she plays in the second of these, and Kingsbury obviously did not play either. But 4-0 victory. It's about what you should expect. Got a little slow start in the first half. It took a little bit to get going.
I think it's positive to see the Emma Hayes era kind of kicking off. I think what's been kind of frustrating over these past few months is that the team has not looked dominant in games. And I think, going out there and looking dominant in this game was important kind of step forward. I don't think Korea is a world beater in women's soccer, but, I think it's good. It's good to see sort of maybe that swagger. I think the team needs maybe a little bit of that swagger to come back. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful with some of the signings I like and what Emma Hayes is doing. I like bringing him, Hal Hirschfeld was kind of the move where I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is like,
we're going to be different.
Yeah, we're going to be different. We're not just going to go with what we see. So,
as this comes out, release on Tuesday for all of you folks, the game is at 3:00 tomorrow. So enjoy your afternoon soccer. 3 p.m. Eastern, June 4th, U.S. versus Korea. I'm telling you, man, that's right.
Where are you reading?
I'm on
it?
ussoccer.com.
I see tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Why does it say June 4th, 3 p.m. EDT, top in 17 hours from now? That would be...
I have no idea. Everywhere else is telling me that it's... Even their broadcast says 8 p.m. EST and
Well, I'm going to be watching at 3:00 apparently, and I'll just be by myself apparently. Maybe it's got a really long pregame.
Check your. It does say it says 8 o'clock on the press release and everything else. So I'm going.
I'm sorry, their website's wrong. We'll see. And also says on Foot Mob. Well, I'm going to watch it at 3:00. So
okay,
you guys are all going to be watching the replay at 8 p.m. Apparently, I'm telling you, there. Whatever. If you go to ussoccer.com and look at the banner on the top, it says 3 p.m. I've been set up by the U.S. Soccer webmaster. I think that's what happened.
That's weird.
It's what's his name? He used to do photos for the Spirit. What was his name? He did DC United and then the Spirit. He was the creative director for the Spirit. Him. He works for U.S. Soccer. I think he set me up.
Okay.
Well,
again, I'm telling you, click the link. It says 8 p.m. So I'm guarantee you it says 8 p.m. I think somebody screwed up in the tracker from not setting it to the whatever the -5 on the.
They're in London doing the webmastering. That's why the 5 hours are off.
Yeah.
And the men are also playing on the 8th. So that's we'll probably talk about both those games because next week we'll have no Spirit and no DC United to talk about. So
we'll have Spirit play. They play on the 8th. They play against. I'm just like, wow, dude, you need to what are you talking about? What are you talking about right now?
Brian says I must be VPN'd from Hawaii. It's entirely possible. I don't know what's going on.
They play against the Royals on the 8th.
So that'll be a victory. That'll at least be 3 points to talk about.
All right, man, let's close it out. That's it. Patreon.com/RFK Refugees. Look out for some content. I'm going to try to get you guys some content on both Lacey Santos for the Spirit and David Schnegg. It's going to talk for him. We'll also have maybe some other content related to that, trying to find some some people. If you know somebody who watches Austrian football, please reach out to me. All right, that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you guys next week. Vamos.
Vamos.